Testing 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. Okay, so we haven't been able to get together to go over this invoicing process. So I thought maybe what I'd do is do a little video here. Maybe that'll help us along. And we can get started on this. I know it's something that Richard wants to move forward with, and I think it's very important that we know we're capturing everything that we're doing in the yards and we're getting the right prices for it. Well, anyway, there's 2 or 3 different parts to it, but let's just get started and I'll stumble along and I'm sure it'll smooth its way out as we go. If you remember, I built you, if I can find it here, just give me a second. Okay, I'm on the wrong screen, that's why. What did I call it? Measurements? No. Oh, there it is, conversion chart. There we go. This was the chart that I built and I sent you guys, and this is simply to convert from pounds to hundredweight, because everything that EL Farmer charges out is done by hundredweight, but the program is designed to work in tons. So what I've done is built a conversion chart so that we can convert everything that you do from hundredweight to tons so that you can use the invoicing program until we get further in the reprogramming to show hundredweight. Now, we're not going to spend a bunch of money with the programmers redoing this if this is not the direction that we want to go in. So we need to get comfortable with the process and then we'll move forward from there. So right now, everything that farmer charges out is done by hundredweight. But everything that the program operates in, and most pipe facilities in North America use tons. Pipe is bought and sold by the ton and managed by the ton. But for some reason, we're charging out at hundredweight. And that could be what happens in Texas, and that's fine. We can convert all that, and we will rebuild the program to accommodate it. But for right now, we're going to have to do this. Then we get comfortable with the invoicing process. Then we can move on from there pretty easy. So how this works is it really doesn't matter if you were using 7-inch, for instance, which is, common weight in 7 inches, 26 pounds or 23 pounds per foot. So if we just put 23 in there, and let's say it wouldn't matter what you put in. Let's say you had 5,000 feet. That's simply, all this table does is converts it to pounds, to tons, the hundredweight. And if you're charging 60 cents a hundredweight, then it's $12 a ton. If you're charging 40 cents, if you're charging 40 cents a hundredweight, then it's $8 a ton. If you're charging 48 cents a hundredweight, then it's $9.60 a ton. This is just a simple conversion chart for you. So let's say you moved 100 feet of 23 pound 7-inch. Obviously, then it doesn't fall within your minimums. Or you would have a minimum charge, whatever that might be, $125, $130. I don't know what your minimum is for X amount of pounds. that's something that you guys can build a chart for. So the rest of this is just to help you get all of those weights. So let's say we got, let's go with 2,500 feet. At 48 cents, let's go at 2,500 feet. And let's go at 60 cents. Let's go. This is just, you can work with this chart. It's simply to help you calculate all of your weights. Let's go at 42 cents. So you know that if you have a client that you're charging 48 cents a hundredweight, then it's $9.60 a ton. If you're charging 60 cents a hundredweight, it's $12 a ton. If you're charging 42 cents a hundredweight, it's $8.40 a ton. This chart is just to help you move along and build your rate table. So let's move on. Let's minimize this so we still got it. And let's go to your tallies program. This is Odessa. So in here, in your tallies program, you have a rate table. Okay. Now in that rate table, you can build this however you'd like it. So 60 cents a hundredweight, $12 a ton. 48 cents a hundredweight, $9.60 a ton. Minimum charge, I'll show you how to put that in there. 42 cents a hundredweight is $8.40 a ton. So you say to me, how do we build this, Ian? Well, it's quite simple. Let's go back to our chart. And let's pick a new weight. So let's go 2,500 feet, blah, blah, blah. And let's say that this particular client, we're going to charge them 70 cents a hundredweight. So that's $14 a ton. Okay? So remember that. So now let's go back to our tallies. Let's go to our rate table. So we want a new record. And this rate code is going to be what? What's our other one? We finished at 504. So let's make this 505. And it's $14. And we can put a description in here. 0.70 per CWT. And save it. There it is. And you simply print your rates. And you would have this list pinned to your computer or wherever you're working. Pretty simple. And we'll build these rate tables to match Odessa and Houston. We will build these rate tables to match. So in other words, maybe Houston has 30 cents a hundredweight. Maybe they have 35 cents a hundredweight. Well, that could be 506 and 507, and we'll make the same rate table in Odessa, so it doesn't matter where our people are. They know that if they pull up code 500, it's going to be 60 cents a hundredweight. Okay, if they bring up 503, it's a minimum charge, and they can add what they need in there, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so let's close that. Let's escape out of here. So let's go, let's see what we got available to work with. So let's go with new record. Now we're in Odessa here. So let's look for Eagle. And let's add a tally. Is there any tallies available for Eagle? Look at them. Look at all of the tallies that have not been charged out to Eagle Pipe, going back to October 31st. Now, I was in Odessa, and I cleaned out this particular part of the program so that we could start fresh and catch all of this. But obviously this wasn't done. So now it's starting to build up and it's getting messy in the back end again. So we'll have to clean it up one more time, but it'll be good for us to run this test. So we got October 31st. Look at all the bills that we have for Eagle Pipe. And these are outbound, obviously. So let's just grab one of them. Now, we've got 165 joints, 8 5/8, 32 pound, 7,000 feet, 112 point, 36 ton. The machine or the program tallies calculates all of this for us. So remember we built our rate table? Now, what do we charge Eagle Pipe? Obviously, I don't know here, but let's go to our rate table. So if we're charging Eagle Pipe 60 cents a hundredweight, it's rate code 500. So we simply put 500 in here. Does all the math for us. Everything's done. It's that simple. All we have to do now is print this. That'll give us a summary. And this is the date that we're doing this. But we saw other tallies in there that hadn't been invoiced yet, correct? So let's add tallies again. And there's a whole bunch of Eagles down at the 31st. See that? So let's select just select them. It'll drop them in for us. Now, it was all outbound, so it was rate code 500. Replace. Look at that. All the math is done for us. It can't get a lot simpler. But let's say this load here, for whatever reasons, because we're just testing, let's say that particular load, I would like to keep these all consistent to the same PO so that you have an invoice that matches your PO. I'm just going to do this for a test to show you that you could actually add multiples on here. Not that I think it's a good idea, but I'm going to show you how flexible the machine is. So let's say for some reason this job was 48 cents. Let's put 501 in there. Look at that. Calculates it at 48 cents. It just can't get any easier or simpler. So every time you do a tally, you do an invoice, you attach that invoice to the tally, you put it in your outbox or wherever you keep them for billing purposes, and it becomes a process and becomes repetitious. Well, we made a mistake here. It wasn't 501, it was 500. Look at, we can finish that. We can change it. It's no big deal. One rate code covers everything. So let's say that we made a mistake and we put this tally in here by mistake. Well, let's just remove it. Let's go. Well, let's go back and get it because we didn't want to do that. Let's back in. So let's finish this. So we'll rate code 500. Replace rate and maintain the description. Maintain this, replace the rate. Pretty simple. There it is. It's done for us. Bingo. Now, let's say that we had a minimum charge. We had 1 or 2 joints of pipe. That's a minimum that we had to move. We can do that also because we built in our rate table 503 as a minimum. Let me show you how that works. So let's add a tally to this. And here's a nice one, 3 joints. So we've added that. Obviously not much tonnage, 113 feet. It's always going to fall within our minimums. So we simply we enter our minimum rate code, which in this case is 503. No, there's nothing here, right? So we simply change this to 1 unit at whatever your minimum charge is. If it's $130, then it's $130 because it falls within your minimums. And you can do that for any of your minimum moves. Like, for instance, in Houston, if they're moving 3 or 4 pieces to the saw line or wherever, they would use a minimum. So instead of building up, let's say you had 100 joints to move, but it takes you a month to move them because they can only do 5 at a time. Well, you simply move the 5 over and do a minimum. Yeah, of course, if you moved 100, it would be enough to be outside of your minimum charge. But it's taking you a month to do it, and every time you move that loader, it costs you money, so you use a minimum per. Have they been doing that? Don't know. Should we be doing that? Of course we should. This will allow us to track all of that. Guy comes in from the yard with his loadout sheet or his movement sheet, and he says, I move 5 pieces from A to B. You do the tally and you do the minimum, and you've got your $130 or $125. If you're doing it at 30 cents a hundredweight, you got $2.50. So you see how this can really become a benefit to tracking your yard. So now that we've gone through that, let's save this, and you'll notice something. So you could do complete and print each time you did this. I can do that, I guess. I'm just not going to print them. I'm going to hit cancel. Look, it completes. You get a little checkbox here. It says it's complete. And you print this and put it with your tallies. Pretty simple. Then you're looking, you're going, oh man, I was in a hurry. I made a mistake. There's a problem with one of these tallies. So you simply open this up, uncheck the complete, go to the tally where you want to make the changes, make your changes, and there's your changes. Very user-friendly. Now remember, if you're doing 50, 60, 70 trucks, or in Houston's case, 8 or 9 or 10 moves, and you let this pile up till the end of the day, it becomes a headache. It can be done, because you're going to keep your add tallies clean. There'll be nothing in there except what you've done that day. But if you do this every time you do a tally, it really doesn't matter if there's an invoice produced for that tally. We don't charge our client by this. This is simply for us to make sure we're capturing everything and to show us a summary of what the yard has done at the end of the day. So it really shouldn't be a big deal to jump in. You already clicked the invoice when you built the tally. Just jump in, add the tally to a new invoice, bang, 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 you're done. You got your rate codes. You need to do nothing with a calculator. Everything is done for you. by the machine. It calculates the tons. It calculates the hundredweight. It calculates the ton rate. It can't get any easier if we just follow the process. And then at the end of the day, you know exactly what your revenue is for your yard, which is something that we need to be following and tracking. There's other tools in here that we can use. We could put a zero rate in there, and then you'd have a record of what you moved in the yard that you didn't charge for, because we do that. You have electronic moves that you charge, I don't know what it is, 75 cents or $25 or $75, whatever. It'll track all of that. It will absolutely track everything that you do in that yard that day. But if you let it pile up for weeks and weeks on end, like this is, like Odessa is, goes back to October 31st, now it becomes a mind-boggling game, because when did I do that? What did I charge? How much is it? And then you got to clean up your database again. But if you use it as a process that happens every time you make a tally, it's 30 seconds or less. You'll get these rate codes stuck in your head. You'll be just bang, 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 and you'll have it done. You print it, you put it with the tally, and you do a summary at the end of the day. Now I'm going to show you how that works. So let's complete this. Let's save this. There's our rate table. Let's escape out of here. Okay. So let's go back here now, and our day is finished. So we go invoice in this case. We'll change the verbiage. Don't worry about that for now. That's minor. What we want to do is get the process down. We'll worry about the verbiage later on it. Okay. So we go list. And here's all our invoices. So we want a summary. So we go reports, summary report, and we want to pick November 18th to November 18th, because you want to do this every day. You go okay, and let's print preview that. And there it is. There's your invoice number 99, the $8,400 and some dollars for Eagle Putt. Bang. Put that with your daily report. It'll have all your list in there of what you've done that day and a revenue for that day. And you could have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 invoices in here. If you're that busy that day. And it's going to give you a total. It does it all for you. And that's why we want to use this. A, we want to make sure we're not missing anything. B, we want to make sure we're charging the right prices for the right movements. And C, we want to know what the yard has made that day. What's the daily revenue for the yard? And in the case of where you're, like for instance, right now, Houston's moving a bunch of stuff around that we're not charging for, you would be able to show how much tonnage you moved that day that you didn't charge for. What makes it way easier for Richard when he's calculating all of his P&Ls. This is a very, very valuable tool. We just need to get the process down. Build a rate table, do it per invoice, clean, simple. Now, the next step will be when we go to our web portal, whoever has access to the web portal from a client base will be able to pull up their invoices for that day, that week, that month, blah, blah, blah. Even better yet is Rodney, Denver, and Richard can start to build an activity report on when the yard's up or down or what's moving on forward, what's moving backward. Help with their forecasting to corporate. And everybody we start to recognize where we're failing. So are we charging enough for the amount of hours that are put in that day? Are we charging too much? I doubt it. How much are we moving that we're not charging for? If every tally that's done in the machine has a rate attached to it, then you can't possibly ever miss invoicing. Like I said at the start of this, farmer invoices everything by hundredweight. The pipe world works in tons. The program was developed to work in tons. We've built the charts to convert hundredweight to tonnage rate. When in fact we get this process down to where we're comfortable with it and we're using it every day, we will then get our programmers, which costs money, to go in and rebuild it to calculate everything by hundredweight. And then we simply go in and change our rate tables. And it'll calculate to show tons, hundredweight, and calculate by hundredweight. But there's no point in us doing that and spending all of that money if we're not going to get it down as a process. I know I've been trying to hook up with you and go through this one-on-one, but we just haven't been able to find the right time or the right window. So I'll do this video, I'll send this video out. Hopefully it helps us get started. And then if you have any questions, we can work backwards or we can do a webinar moving forward. Anyway, this got a little clumsy on the front end when I got started, but I think it's worked its way through pretty good. If you got any problems, give me a call. I hope I covered off all of the questions. Let's just start putting the process into place, and I think it'll really, really help everybody concerned. So thank you for listening.